Yeah, earlier he passed with flying colors, but Labyrinth didn't really put him to the test quite as much as I was expecting Happy to do, and I think it's going to come down indeed a lot to mechanics. In the past, in days past, Knights were playing a different playstyle, not the one-base playstyle, not so much micro-focused, but rather go for the expansion play and try to win economically with superior mass. And that might be what the doctor ordered here for Kaho because he's going Keeper first, which I did not expect. I loved his choice of Keeper first earlier against Labyrinth to be ready against any kind of cheese. But Happy isn't going to cheese. No way, no sir. He's playing the Demon, a Keeper here. Surprised me quite a bit. Perhaps also partly because of a possible expansion. But Happy normally, on this map, doesn't expand so much, but maybe just wants to cover his bases. We are ready to receive Happy's queries on Discord.
Yes, just stand by, folks. We'll find out what exactly is going on.
Okay.
Well, Remo, as you highlighted, the Keeper here was a nice pick indeed against Labyrinth, and I am also shocked to see the Keeper pick here. I think Demon Hunter is pretty solid on this map. The Keeper is as well, obviously, was a staple pick for a very long time, and you have quite a nice creep right with him on this map, opening with the orange directly adjacent to your base, and you can use this Wisp nicely positioned to the north of this camp to drag the Murgle Snarecaster further down, where you can creep it pretty much with ease. And then the world is your oyster. You have two nearby greens, both of which, if you secure, give you level 3.
Acolyte shenanigans. Can't get the last. He's going for the pull. As Happy basically does all the time nowadays. Serves a nice double purpose. It slows down the creep of the opponent and also scouts the first hero, which is very relevant in this matchup. If you see a Keeper first, you normally don't want to fast expand. It is not entirely unplayable, but it's very hard to pull off. We'd love to see the DK just creep the green camp in the middle and then harass against the natural, because I think he can probably steal some last hits there.
Yeah, I feel like with this opening creep route Happy is doing, he's kind of in a position to be aggressive early on and is perfectly aware of what is going on with this Acolyte right now. And also I just wanted to say that that pool with the Acolyte was incredibly successful. I'm not sure I've seen that camp be delayed so hard by that Acolyte pool before. The Ancient of War was practically useless there. Amazing to see how much that Acolyte can get accomplished in the early game. Happy looking for a cheeky little deny on this Acolyte right now. Nicely done. And Kaho, what can you do right now? These Treants wanting to creep up the Snarecaster, but yep, Happy just...
This Acolyte is single-handedly winning this early game.
It's just crazy, isn't it?
Level 2 from the ghouls and the skeletons, and these Treants were just running around doing nothing. That's 200 mana, just walking around, waiting to expire. Acolyte Scout and creep route adjustment by Happy, absolutely wonderful. Picks up the Ring of Superiority, and that is level 2 precisely. Doesn't go back to the gold mine to harass further. That surprises me. Wasting a bit of time maybe in picking up the circlet.
Yeah, I really don't like the double back to the shop, actually. I think, as you pointed out, there was ample time for Happy to get back in and steal one of those last hits, but both the level 3 Murgle Tide Wars are still up for grabs here, and Kaho not really getting that much experience anyway, and as you pointed out, also with the Treants, the amount of wasted mana here for Kaho in the early game is just immense, which is a big feels bad man for any Keeper players right there.
But Happy is not willing to stick around and ensure he gets these last hits. If you try too hard to get the last hits here, you may lose some ghouls, lose some HP, then have to fall back and get more mana. So he slowed down the Keeper's creeping, but he still got the full experience here. Did the Night Elf and some decent items for the Keeper. Happy went for the big consumable, but sold it right away. Was not happy with that one. While we have the tier 2 tech coming up, and it must be an expansion at some point. With the Keeper, you are forced to play 2 base. Doesn't work on only one.
Yeah, we see Happy with the Skeleton Warrior on very low HP, just checking out Kaho's natural right now, seeing whether the Expo is coming up on the spot, which is certainly quite a predictable play. In the meantime, trying to go into the Acolyte line here, but not enough mana to resummon a set of Treants. But this Acolyte might actually be going down. Happy, in the meantime, creeping up that expansion, trying to come back to save the Acolyte, but losing an Acolyte mid-tech, but at the end of the day, Happy's not that far off from reaching his own tier 2. I think not the biggest loss in the world, Remo.
Yeah, it's going to cost him a good 200 gold, though, at least. We'll check out the gold mines later. If we consider the cost of the Acolyte itself, it's probably going to be more. Got some sick items on the DK, and almost now level 3. It is reassuring, I would say, to see that Happy is indeed mortal and doesn't always have the perfect reactions, that even he can lose Acolyte sometimes. And yeah, that's a tiny little mistake by the record holder champion in this tournament. And I would say good little move in the early game for the Keeper, but the most important thing for the Keeper still isn't to be seen. The expansion. Where is the expansion? He's just not considering it, not trying it, just going for a lore build. Is he just seriously going to play one-base Keeper? If he does, I feel... yeah, I'm very worried, to say the very least.
As you pointed out, Keeper with that expansion, pretty much a necessary play in order to get over the tier 3 power of the Undead. Even if the Demon Hunter were to reach level 3, I feel like the lack of a Panda or a Naga to actually deal late game damage and have control will be sorely missing, and Happy might have to steamroll those tier 3 fights. But the level 3 Keeper, in the meantime, trying to head into the base, looking for another Acolyte snipe with that level 2 Entangle, which would be... oh, actually, it's level 2 Treants here, trying to get the Slaughterhouse cancel. Pretty nice movement here by Kaho.
This would be a big delay if he gets the Slaughterhouse, but may not quite have the damage needed. Instead of Treants is ready. This would be a big mana commitment. Oh, it was so close, but the Keeper has to back up. Slaughterhouse finishes, and Happy will not be delayed on the statues, which are the most important unit. DK found some crazy items, by the way. Insane inventory. He's decked out to the teeth right away upon spawning. Demon Hunter needs to catch up. He needs the levels more desperately than the Lich does on the other side. Starts off with a Zoe Mask, not the best. And Kaho is legit playing Keeper one base. I've seen this on ladder before. I don't think I've ever seen it in pro play before. And I gotta be honest, I am not very hopeful for this strat.
I was going to say, I think the only time we see this strategy come into play is when a Keeper player has tried to expand and then had to abort suddenly and finds himself in this awkward situation. Happy coming in with these amazing items, as you pointed out. Going to get some Archer kills, the Ancient War going down, not the biggest loss, it's already done its job. But yeah, Happy here, probably able to pick off another Archer, I'd suspect. Entangle going down the DK, not going to do too much follow-up damage here, should be able to get away nicely. However, the Dryad's coming in.
Oh.
Remo, the DK has no TP here, he's going to get surrounded against the trees! No!
And Happy getting punished for once, overextending a rare sight by Happy. Perhaps a weird choice to run towards the main base, towards the Dryads. And Kaho with a nice execute. And he needed a big win like this, I feel like, to have a chance in this game in the later stages.
Absolutely massive for Kaho like here. I really love the small details being utilized to their full effect here. Kaho moved away the Keeper to ensure the Demon Hunter would get the full experience from that level 3 kill. 200 experience going his way, ensuring that that DH will get to level 3 in good time. Has lots of nice defensive items to pass over to him as well. And I'd like to see the Sobi Mask actually be transferred back to the Keeper now that he's burning through his mana. And Happy now forced to be defensive, creeping up to his Lich, aiming to get his own level 3, I'm sure, as quickly as possible as well. But will we see, despite that loss on Happy's end, if he can just steamroll this Keeper Demon Hunter one-base combination?
This is, of course, the apparent issue with playing Keeper in the late game. He oftentimes feels utterly useless against destroyers. While he's a good orb carrier, that's normally all that he does in the late game. At the moment we don't have Orbs of Venom yet, even if we may have some later. Would have loved to see Kaho try to establish an expansion with the kill that he got, but I guess felt like he didn't have the resources available really. Wants to build that supply army first. Dryads and Bears, always a good combo, always a good late game army, but I am worried when it comes to heroes.
Absolutely, I feel like we're sort of lacking that staying power of Night Elf with the Demon Hunter first combination with either Naga or Panda. Instead, Keeper, as you pointed out, a good orb carrier that doesn't bring much to the table against late game undead, unfortunately. But I do think Kaho didn't really have the opportunity to build an expansion. It'd be very expensive to build alongside a tier 3 tech. Perhaps a Mass Dryads approach, the old style with tier 2, might have been applicable in this game, especially with a DK level 3 kill. But I think a lot of players perhaps shied away from that technique after we saw many games and many Dryads being slaughtered.
Which found the new item, by the way, the Ring of the Archmagi Circlet 2.0, or an improved Circlet. I am still very confused why Blizzard added this item to this creep camp. So many items dropped from this camp already, and they were like, screw it, just put one more in there. Yeah, but there it is, so it goes. And Happy has some sick items. He found so much damage to be spread across the Lich. He had too many damage items for the Lich, so now he gave them over to the Naga. Has plus 10 on her as well. The right click from these heroes is going to be immense.
Here we go, Remo. Engagement coming in by Happy here. One destroyer in the air. Bear's usually the target of that focus fire, and there we go. First bear for Kaho with the reinforced hides upgrade. Already finished for him, 1 armor upgrade. Pretty nice, but 2 bears pretty much immediately disintegrating against Happy right now. The ghouls should be soon to follow, but honestly, I feel like Kaho isn't really getting too many return kills in the moment. And now the backline for Kaho is wide open.
The bears getting slowed from the Nova and the Frost Arrow. It looks like also they didn't do much damage really, and the heal throw was there. There's no AoE in this Night Elf army. That's a big problem. You don't have Fork Lightning, you don't have Breath of Fire. There's just enough damage to chew through the undead HP, and perhaps more importantly, to sustain. The statues are healing the chip damage so easily, and this is just a one-way street, and it says all Happy. And Kaho seems to have no chance here, even with an eye towards the end. The demon is still alive thanks to the invuln, but an instant dispel. Or as we love to say in the biz, useful. Demoner needs to heal from the Moonwells. Keeper has to TP out, down to only 37 supply. Happy didn't play a perfect game, but it seemed like against this strategy, he really didn't have to.
I feel like it might be odd for people to see Happy essentially donating his level 3 DK there in the mid-game, and still coming out on top so hard in this fight, but Kaho seriously lacking some sort of late-game power with that Keeper first pick. Just, I think we could say we're quizzed a bit, Remo, here. We're not sure exactly why Kaho elected to go with this style. I think it proved to be not very effective in the end, as we can see here.
Yeah, maybe he had intended to go for an expansion, but saw it for some reason in the mid-game as utterly pointless, utterly hopeless, and then was feeling that rather the tier 3, even as low chance as it was the better plan. But yeah, this Keeper did absolutely nothing in the late game, as he normally does. And Happy takes it very convincing.
Damn, after some issues in the early game and a lost DK at the end of the map, everything is as usual. Happy with the 1-0, struggling a tiny bit, but that was also his map and his first pick, so hopefully the most dominant performance that we've seen. I'd like things to be a little closer and more entertaining than this one. Kaho had some nice pokes into the undead base. The first one was very successful, maybe a tiny bit too late, and then he was also very unfortunate with the slaughterhouse. If he cancels that, that opens up the map a lot, but wasn't the case. Happy defending with the ghouls too well, and then it was all him.
And wasting no time, jumping onto map number 2, Last Refuge. Wasn't this where Lawlight busted out the Warden again recently?
Yes.
I would be shocked if Kaho does the same. But Kaho has such a strong Demon Hunter. I would love to see him just go back to the Demon Hunter, trust in what he knows. Keeper and Kaho, it doesn't go together, despite the alliteration.
I couldn't agree more, Remo. I think it's back to basics here for Kaho. I would be shocked to see any other choice than Demon Hunter. Also, a pretty nice pick on LR. Can do a lot of pretty efficient creeping here. Going to open with the Ogre Warrior camp just in front of the base with the Ancient of War. Happy, I think unlikely to attempt an expansion on this map, even though it is viable. Probably just some safe early game creeping for him. Both players looking to hit that level 3 power spike that they also desire.
And I wonder how much immolation is still relevant in this matchup. It's great on some maps for proper creeping. I feel like if ever you played Terranas Stand, you definitely want to do it. But we don't have Terranas in our map pool here anymore. On this map, especially at the shops, immolation is also very good. But not having the evasion late game can be a problem. There we go, there he is, the man with the mask. Finding his target precisely, despite being blind. The Demon Hunter, I think, should suit Kaho much better, and this should be a much closer game.
Yes, I think we can expect to have a closer contest with Kaho electing to go with that Demon Hunter first, and stronger choice, I think, overall in this current meta, despite the immolation being nerfed again a little bit. It is still an incredibly effective creeping tool, which I think is something not to be underestimated on the side of Night Elf. Happy, on the other hand, opening with the standard double ziggurat, altered crypt, looking to go with the DK ghouls. Nothing off the wall so far, as we can expect from two very standard players indeed.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot about creeping here early. We're expecting both to be playing a clean game here. Both are known for great mechanics and clean execution, so nothing should be dying unnecessarily. So it comes down to who has the better creep routes, who has the better movement, and who gets to creep better. This is where Night Elves could really pull ahead recently with Immolation, especially in the previous patch. Before the Immolation patch, Undeads could always creep way better early game with ghouls, with skellies, and also the aura and stuff, whereas the Night Elf was heavily reliant on either having an Ancient of War in position or a lot of archers. Nowadays it's a bit different, because the Demon are already not playing passive, not playing Immolation, but rather running across the map with the circlet, with the gloves. Oh, wait. He does have Immolation and trying to steal this away from the DK. Happy, though, knows of this possibility, but doesn't have the coil. Don't tell me he gets this last hit. No way.
Whoa. You're happy going for the aura first here, though. I think perhaps not the correct choice. If he was anticipating Kaho to go for this play, if he had coil ready, then this was basically a guaranteed steal, or Kaho would have to abandon the camp. I think maybe a slight misplay here, but who am I to question the Emperor himself? Meanwhile, Kaho heading back to get his own Troll High Priest here, getting a set of wards. A pretty nice item for him. Both players actually have wards. And we'll see how much they can abuse the information those items provide.
Yeah, especially during the first nighttime, the wards in the middle or towards the opponent's side of the map, super valuable. Can win you the early game sometimes. And here we can see what I was talking about earlier with a handful of skellies and ghouls to creep these smaller sized camps. Super easy. Jump from one to the next. Which is why the Demon Hunter oftentimes tries to be aggressive and slow down the undead until he has a decent amount of archers. But in fact, so far, Kaho is not playing aggressive at all. He needs quite a bit of moon juice to recover.
I think Kaho perhaps struggling a little bit here to actually find his level 3. I'm not too sure about the route overall. Going for 2 High Priest snipes while they give items indeed, and then the small Murlocs doesn't put him anywhere close to level 3. But if he is anticipating that Happy is going for this creep camp right now, perhaps he can get something done. Happy trying to secure his own level 3 here, and will do so with the 2 smaller creeps. But Kaho, can he get any kills here?
Doesn't have the boots! He didn't buy boots!
Not listening to Coach Remo, I'm afraid. Gets the last hit on the Overseer though!
Okay, that was sick. Almost got surrounded for it.
Does have the Staff of Teleportation though, so he was safe in any case. I mean, honestly, very crucial last hit given that Kaho didn't go for his own level 3 creep route. And Happy, what is he doing here? Maybe buying boots? Yeah, boots and circlet. Wow, that's an expensive set of purchases right there. 425 gold for a bunch of items. Perhaps looking to play Naga second and passing those items over to her.
He's going to be so strong with the Naga. If the Demon doesn't get level 3 by the time the Naga rolls out, Kao's going to be in trouble. I think Kaho made a big creep mistake. Honestly, like you correctly pointed out, getting that last hit was such a big deal. If he doesn't get the last hit here, he's in serious trouble. But now, at least he's close to 3 and he's getting in a few burns. Happy doesn't have that much mana anymore. Could have been worse for Kaho. He's trying to stabilize, but the worst is yet to come with the Naga second. Only a couple of seconds out.
Happy there with the nice blocks. That DK being incredibly speedy with the Boots of Speed there. Easily able to keep an archer blocked. And here comes the timing Remo. Necropolis finishing its upgrade to Halls of the Dead. Naga immediately purchased, and Kaho unable to buy his own Naga crucially. And now how can he approach the middle here to get his own second hero? Certainly looks grim for him indeed. Losing control of the map here, unfortunately.
Yeah, would love for Happy to just bring all the ghouls from the main, which aren't her. This is so much pressure. With one archer already going down, with still no Naga on the Night Elf side, and no Wisp to get a second hero from the middle. Kaho, how different a player can look. From the first series to the second, earlier against Labyrinth, he was in full control. We were expecting this kind of Happy is a different beast. And Happy is putting the fear of God in Kaho, it seems like. He's just getting utterly dominated so far.
Yeah, I feel like for Kaho here, it's not the Unholy Aura he should be afraid of, but rather the Fear Aura that Happy provides in all of his games. Somehow confusing him perhaps and not going for the most optimal route to get level 3. It is a sad sight indeed to be stuck on level 2 here against the level 3 DK of Happy with the Naga out. He just basically can't contest anything in the middle, and I really like that Happy isn't trying to force the creep or anything. He's just hanging around, ensuring that Kaho can't take any further camps. And of course, if Kaho were to try an Ancient of War creep, his mercenary, I'm sure Happy would be right there on top of him.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's not even bad for Happy if they're just standing in the middle here and just staring at each other and nothing happens.
Exactly.
The tier 3 timer keeps ticking. And Ghoul Frenzy is always scary, but it's always scarier when the levels are low on the enemy side. Strong heroes are the best antidote to ghouls. And at the moment, we don't even have a second hero, and the Demon Hunter is still only level 2. He needs that level 3 so damn badly.
Happy here, perhaps thinking it's his opportunity now to try and snag some of the creeps from this also crucial Goblin Merchant Camp, which can drop, of course, amazing items. Perhaps trying to bait Kaho into surround here. Could be a little bit tricky though to get that, I'm afraid. The ghouls are getting kind of whacked on by the creeps here. Dryad's coming in now to alleviate some of the pressure, but Kaho's stuck without a second hero, Remo. What is he supposed to do right now? Oh, and snare onto the Crypt Fiend though.
The ghoul!
Oh, nice snipe.
Finally!
Level 3, jeez.
At long last, he gets the kill. Almost has to pay with an archer of his own, and finally gets the Naga to join the ranks. Kaho gets to breathe for a second, and he is sort of coming out of a disastrous early game. And he finds a great item. Heal potion. Okay, things are finally looking up a bit more.
Greater heal potion. How many times have we pointed out how amazing this item is on a hero like Demon Hunter, which needs to sustain damage, and it just allows him to remain in a fight for so much longer, or perhaps avoid certain death in certain circumstances. Just an amazing find overall. Happy here doing the same camp now on his own side, hoping to get, of course, the big mana, which still provides 200 instant mana upon use, which is a fantastic item. Kaho now, I would like to see him give all the experience here to the Naga. He desperately needs level 3-3 in order to survive the upcoming tier 3 push from Happy, which we should be seeing in about maybe a minute and a half's time.
Just started, Frenzy and Destroyer on the way, all the upgrades are lining up, we've seen it countless times before by the Undeads. Happy also sold the Scroll of the Beast, so he has lots more gold to use. Did he buy a second circle? Oh yeah, he did.
He did. He did that last game as well, actually. He bought 2 circlets in total from the shop.
Quite expensive, but valuable items.
I mean, we
Longer
saw how
can they be
stacked
found.
those heroes were.
Yeah.
Last game, it was crazy. Oh,
Big
speaking
item
of
here as
items.
well. Oh my god! Oh, nasty items. Nasty items.
Oh
for
my
Happy.
lord. And once again, we see Happy here with crazy items. It's pretty much his shtick, having what is perceived item luck, but just ensures that he is able to always take the best items from each camp as often as he can. Gives himself the opportunity to do so with some nice creeping, only sniping the Ogre Lord, which I think is absolutely the right play and gets rewarded for it big time here, Remo.
Next item for him is perhaps not that flashy. It's the Anchor for Incarnation. Honestly, I think it's a bit underrated in this matchup specifically, where Lich and Naga can be exposed on the undead side. This item can be the resurrection that you need. And Happy is trying to gear up, clear up as many camps as he can, and perhaps not even go for a push. We see an Acolyte ready to go for a tier 3 expansion by the look of things.
Yeah, I quite like this play as well. I feel like especially if you've had a good game, you don't always necessarily have to finish your opponent, and for Undeads, a tier 3 expansion is a pretty great approach in order to try and secure yourself an advantage, or if your opponent takes time to cancel it, you usually get 1 or 2 camps in the meantime, generating some sort of advantage for you either way. Happy also breaking upkeep here as well. He wants to contest his Ogre Lord, which should definitely go towards Kaho. Oh, pump fake, but I think the coil would have flown into the air regardless if he had thrown it out. Kaho currently banking on 50 food, 600 gold to his name. First attack upgrade also being started, but I think Happy's like, okay, I'm going to go for a push, but I think not a game-ending push, as he is setting up a tier 3 expansion right now.
Oh, we realized the camp was pulled out, so the Ogre is left behind to be sniped by him. He's supposed to double level up, by the way. Here we see on the DK. Getting level 4 before the first big fight is so nice to have, that level 2 aura. Not as insane as it used to be in the past, but still really good. The Naga also hit her level 3. And Kaho is just always playing on the back foot. It seems like he's just reacting, not really able to go for plays. This is not looking as close as some of their previous encounters, I gotta say so.
I do think Remo, it was pretty much due to that early game from Kaho. He was on the back foot for such an incredibly long time. Did manage to creep up to his essential levels, but he was basically creeping from behind the entire time. In any case, Happy here, having to defend against Kaho. Trying to creep check him here, but I'm not sure who this favors really. There's a lot of ghouls quite low, honestly, that could be focused here by that Fork Lightning once it's off cooldown. But Kaho, I don't think he can hope to win a sustained fight here. That big heal potion is going to be used right away.
Still taking more damage. The Demon Hunter is level 4, even has a ring, but the nukes are flying out still. Aggressive coils, a la Night End. The Nova now lands on the Bears. There's only level 1 Nova. The Demon staffing back in. He should be full health. And that might be a decent time to turn the fight around. One more coil flies. Now the DK's out of mana. This is where Kaho now needs to strike back. And the heroes are completely out of mana. And Happy, in fact, has no statues on the ground. Perhaps a mistake. But the Demon again hurt. Has a heal potion. It's pretty much hero arena at this point. But there's an opportunity to do something here for Kaho.
There we go. Happy patiently waiting to use the Book
No
of the
abolish!
Dead. The last minute here.
He does not abolish!
There's no abolish, but he needs to get rid of the skeletons here, which are blocking quite a bit. And Happy finding even more kills here on the retreat, trying to go, wow, clutch heal potion being used just in time to keep that Demon Hunter alive. And I thought for a second Kaho, maybe with the Undead Heroes being low on mana, could do something. But in the end, Happy proving to be too strong, being extremely patient with that Book of the Dead usage, which of course, without abolish, could not have been countered in that battle.
A player's forces are under attack.
The Book of the Dead makes it so that Happy wins this fight in the end easily. If there was abolish, maybe Kaho could win that fight with one more heal scroll. This was pretty close. I would say it was a mistake by Happy to morph all those destroyers. One statue on the ground can make such a big difference, especially considering we didn't have that many bears. But we wanted to have some explosive firepower, and it was enough in the end. Kaho, a player known for being pretty greedy with upgrades at times, sometimes with the Ultra Vision. Now it was the abolish that was missing.
Also no Wellspring, Remo. Unforgivable.
Jesus Christ.
Happy here, having put himself in an incredibly nice position. All he has to do is hold this expansion and he wins the game. So Kaho, pretty much all in here, unable to set up his own counter expansion. The Expo already running for more than a minute for Happy now, who is just rocketing up in supply. Kaho at a measly 50 food here. He needs to win this fight convincingly to stand a chance.
And all this dancing back and forth, taking more and more time, is not doing Kaho any favors. Canceling the tower, kind of valuable, but Happy is really supply block. You can go up to 70, no problem. We finally have abolish finished.
Oh my god, that
Man,
bear!
is that late? And so much magic damage. The Destroyer's just raining supremely in the air. And the Dryad's also being picked off one at a time. Upgrades are decent on the Dryad at 1-1, but seemingly not enough. There was an opportunity before to win this game, but now for Kaho it seems to have slipped away. And again, I have to say, I know it's a meme sometimes, but the Demon without boots, he's so easy to control. He has such a tough time finding his targets. I do have to say, I feel like this must be a mistake not having boots. But it is enough to get the Naga. Apparently, wait, wasn't there an Ankh somewhere? Ankh's on the DK wasn't transferred for once. So Kaho perhaps with a chance.
Definitely a bit of a... Wow, the Lich, I think... Is he going down here? Surely not. Happy's not going to let the... I can't believe this. Happy leaving the Ankh on the DK. We have to ask ourselves, why would you leave it on that hero, the Naga, the most obvious choice to carry that item? And now Happy, with basically just a bunch of destroyers and statues and the DK against the pretty strong skirmishing army of Kaho right now with a full HP Demon Hunter. We're seeing a potential for a comeback here, Remo?
Player's forces are under attack.
Yeah, very weird choice. Like, I feel like that having the Ankh on the DK, if it's a frontline versus frontline fight, might be okay. But as soon as it gets weird and you see one hero getting targeted, you have to transfer it over.
Exactly.
Big mistake here by Happy for sure. And did he even have an invul in that fight?
Nope.
He didn't. Happy exposing weakness for once, and Kaho with one hell of an execute does it very nicely and gets a level 5 Demon Hunter all of a sudden. Kaho feeling the wind in his sails again. This game was supposed to be over, but for once Happy makes a mistake that we would live to see the day.
Is Kaho about to make another mistake now going for this creep camp here? I don't think so. Happy here. I think cutting his losses for the time being, selling the expansion, heading back to perhaps clean up the rest of the map in that top left corner. Kaho securing the Gargantuan camp. Pretty nice for him. Would like to once again see the Demon Hunter not be soaking the experience here. That level 5 Naga is certainly a potent force in the late game as well. And Lord knows Kaho needs as many advantages as he can get. Currently at 49 food, getting some more upgrades. Perhaps looking to break to 70 later in the game with a nicely upgraded army. Happy in the meantime. Getting the Naga back, who is just slithering back and over to the remainder of his army. Stuck with a lot of destroyers though. So Kaho perhaps will be going for mass dryads now.
I think that's the second mistake by Happy. Firstly, he didn't protect his heroes well enough, and secondly, this is too many destroyers. Why so many destroyers? This does not seem like it's the best way to spend your money and build your army. Piercing damage rather alone. Here comes the Demon Hunter. big, bad level 5 demon who has great items, by the way. I'm still upset about the fact that there's no boots. Other than that, great items.
Nicely baiting out all of the spells here did Kaho, staffing out the Demon Hunter, immediately refilling his health to full. Oh, Happy trying to go for that Dryad there, but no chance of cancelling that Staff of Teleportation. And now can the Dryads take care of the Destroyers, which are almost like flying XP tomes, but the Bears also kind of getting wiped out of the front here by the remainder of the Air Army. And Happy, with the stronger heroes here, I think overall, will he be able to fight back against Kaho here? I think the answer is yes.
Demon Hunter falling back as well. And again, having no boots here makes it harder for him to position perfectly. There, gonna get caught, gonna get staffed out. Happy is level 2 cold arrow. That's so much slow from his Naga. It's the case on the enemy Naga as well, but now Happy's hero levels are looking damn scary. 5-4-4. Naga for Kaho in trouble as well. We'll have to TP soon. Goes for the potion first. Team was left to be popped. Lit with the invuln will survive as well, and with that, losses will be minimized. But one more Dryad is gonna fall, and the supply now heavily in Happy's favor. He was scared there for a moment. We had a bit of a wake-up call, but in the end, Happy still with a big lead this game.
Just look at Kaho's base right now. He has 3 units remaining, training some more Bears here, desperately trying to get back up to that 50 food. Happy in the meantime at 61 supply, getting the rest of the XP on the map here, hoping for a good item. Unfortunately finds the Talisman Evasion, but given how his heroes have been this game, I think perhaps he might need this item, Remo.
A bit of evasion, if you can especially dodge some cold arrows, could be nice. Always the weird gamble, though, is which hero is going to get focused. And honestly, in these armies, in this game state, any hero could be focused. There's not really clear front lines, you know, between 2 heavy bruisers like A-bombs and stuff. We don't have that. Happy on summoning the altar. Classic Happy move. Instead with the enormous supply lead. We haven't seen the push into the main base yet by Happy. It seems like he is still patient enough to take this one step at a time.
Speaking of the front line, we do have the first Abomination here being added into the fold. No Disease Cloud on him yet, though, but honestly, I don't think Happy is looking for an engagement right this second. But saying that, there is an opportunity for him to try and end the game, but will Happy remain patient, or will he go for the throat? He did buy a TP, and that might suggest that he will look for an engagement and teleport out once all of the Bears have been killed, for example, and try to conserve his units as best as possible, regenerate mana, and go again. I think we saw that play a lot in Echo Isles in particular, and that might just be used here as well to secure him even more advantages.
It was a bit scary there for Kaho. There was absolutely no moon juice in his moonwells anymore, as it was still daytime until a moment ago. As you pointed out earlier, there's still no wellspring, despite all the lumber on Kaho. Somebody has to have a serious word with this kid, by the way.
No
75
Ultra Vision as
gold
well?
for Wellspring, brother.
Yeah, Wellspring, one of the best upgrades in the game for Elf. It's, in my opinion, one of the things that makes them kind of a late game powerhouse with strong heroes. The ability to regen up level 5, level 6 heroes back to full and have them back in the fold right away is incredibly powerful. And there's no reason to not to get it. It's 75 gold. Kaho, interestingly, adding an Ancient of Wind here to get Talons, as we can see from their piercing damage, which was changed not too long ago. They pack a serious punch against Destroyers, but you need more than just a bunch of Talons to take care of the Destroyers. You need frontline as well to try and get rid of as many Fiends as, of course, there will be web available as well.
Yeah, and against a top undead like Happy, you also know that he's going to have employ some trickery in the micro. He's going to send the Destroyers forward, bait the Talons in, pull the Destroyers back, and then try to web them. And once the Talons are webbed, they are easy pickings. Between Nova and Fork Lightning, they're easy to take out. They are not magic immune, like Fairies, for example, and they only have 340 HP. That's very low. So they are great in damage, but they are indeed glass cannons. So you have to be very careful with where you position them. And that's why Happy borrowed some Fiends here next to the lab. Nifty play. Unlikely to succeed, but doesn't cost him anything. So why not? But the upgrades for Kaho are indeed looking very good. 2-2. And if we were to get a fully maxed out 80 supply army, I would definitely favor the Night Elf. But Kaho doesn't really have the gold to build such a big force.
We have seen this ultimate unit composition in play before. The Bears, the Dryads, the Druids of the Talon in Crow form do make for an incredibly strong army, and Kaho, despite enduring many losses this game, did stay on 50 food for the longest time, managed to bank up a sizable amount of resources, and will get up to just under 70 food, I would estimate, Happy, with a supply advantage, of course, as he has had for the majority of this game. But now we'll see the true test for Happy in these late game fights. How many destroyers do you have? Still 4 destroyers currently and 3 statues. The Talons may indeed prove to be extremely effective. Kaho has 7 currently, and we'll see 9 Talons. I think we might see some destroyers being 2-shot here, Remo.
It is kind of cool. Neither player is thinking about an expansion. Kaho didn't even get Nature's Blessing. Isn't even moving the tree. They're putting every little bit of gold into units and items to be as strong as possible. Happy unsummoned. Plenty of his ziggurats. And gonna unsummon even more buildings. Perhaps trying to buy another mana potion that can make a big difference in the late game. But looking at this undead force, 80 supply. Almost. 10 supply ahead. I see Happy is certainly in the lead here. And his nuke is going to be scary as well.
5/4/4 heroes, absolutely ridiculous. That Lich and the Naga as well, to be fair to her, have pretty amazing right-click DPS with those items. Kaho, a very strong Demon Hunter, 1.1k HP, is very tanky. Would have loved to have had Rune Bracers, I'm sure, in order to counter the late game nuke of Happy here. But these Roar Talons, Remo, look at them, plus 10 damage. It'll be absolutely crucial for them to connect and wipe out the destroyers as quickly as possible so the bears and heroes can reign supreme in this engagement. But this will be a pretty big and pretty messy fight here, Remo.
It's a great Night Elf army as well. Only thing missing is Mountain Giants. The Naga is the big vulnerability in the Night Elf army, but she's nicely positioned way in the back. Unlike Happy's Naga, who's far up front, but she's very fast with the boots and the aura. Happy's trying to kite against the talents, but you can see the damage against the destroyers indeed is immense.
Wow.
And the destroyer falls.
Absolutely insane. Basically, one volley almost kills the destroyer here. Kaho's movement with the Druids of the Talon here is absolutely impeccable. His whole army is basically on A-click. Meantime, he is focusing a lot of that control onto these little birdies to ensure they get maximum value. But Happy doing the best he can to kite here, trying to pick off some of those Druids. But look at this, 67 food for Kaho, and Happy down at 57 already. I can't quite believe he's managed to claw back so much supply here.
Another Talon's close to falling though, with a bit more nuke coming in. One of them could be going down. Kaho, this was a great start to the fight for him. He's really going to fight onto Blight into the Black Citadel. Kaho does not have a TP. He's got lots of bears still on the front line, but now fighting against the buildings is going to be tough as well. But the Talon's still on the chase. Kaho, is he going to have this comeback now coming to fruition? Oh, Happy under pressure, that's for sure. Supply lead still with the Night Elf and all the destroyers about to be down.
I can't quite believe level 6!
This
is absurd!
Oh
level
God.
6!
You actually won it!
No way! What? That was so fast! That was so incredibly fast. I don't think that... I'm honestly just speechless here, Remo.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming.
What?
Great comeback by Kaho. Absolutely wonderful execution of the Talons with the Roar. Huge range. Destroyers can't get there really too easily for the Dispel. Then they get attacked. Didn't get the perfect connection with the web. And I think this was a bit of a wake-up call for Happy. Noticing that you don't want to give the Night Elf that much time to build that perfect army.
Damn, Kaho defying Warcraft physics here. They say never fight into an undead base. Well, Happy helped him a little bit by selling all the buildings. There was only the Black Citadel standing, but what a tremendous fight setup that was. That was... If you want to show someone how late game fights go in this matchup, that was pretty much it. The undead is trying to catch the crows are trying to catch the destroyers, constant repositioning, constant web, constantly trying to get out of web range. That was beautiful. That was beautiful Night Elf undead, and Happy allowed Kaho to come back into this game with a double hero kill in the mid game. Rare to see, and I wonder where the series is going now.
Yeah, honestly, once the expansion is up, Happy wins those games 99% of the time, but somehow he loses there. Like, the Ankh wasn't transferred, and also the DK wasn't properly following around the Lich to give him the aura. Honestly, Happy should have won that game, and that's something we say rarely. The fact that Happy was ahead and then makes mistakes and then loses, that is a rare, rare sight indeed.
I really like the strategic choice by Kaho to go to 9 talents. When do you ever see 9 talents in one army composition?
Yeah, I think it was a smart decision, actually. Overshooting perhaps a little bit in terms of the number you need, but I think that was the perfect idea. Some of them are going to die due to that Call Nova lightning focus. We have Web in play as well, which of course is going to hamper your ability to target those destroyers down. and it seemed like it was the right play. Can also follow up with Master Talons in the late game for Cyclone as well, if required, and making them a little bit sturdier. But Remo, I mean, that end section there was just completely nuts. I don't think we expected Kaho to just push Happy's base like that and just take him out.
Yeah, honestly, this was a super one-sided fight. With Happy
So
ahead in supply by
one-sided.
10, we would have to go through this replay with a comb and a toothpick to see exactly what was going on, but it seems like Happy maybe could have done that better. But just looking at what happened there, imagine an 80 supply Night Elf army with 2 MGs. Then there's absolutely zero chance. So I feel like Happy needs a different approach moving forward. Either go for the jugular earlier, around 60 supply, which is kind of like the undead sweet spot before we have the perfect Night Elf army, or close to the perfect Night Elf army, or circumvent Talons altogether by playing Gargs. But he doesn't like the Gargs that much normally.
Well, let's see what the two players choose to do on our next map. This is once again Happy Territory. It is the third map. It is Springtime.
Well, Remo, I'm sure between the two of us, we have a lot to say about that previous match turning on its head after a seemingly impossible position for Kaho, clawing his way back in and then just winning a fight from like 10 supply down so decisively was quite amazing to see. Should be quite inspiring for any Night Elf stands in the audience here. But now we have to focus here on Game 3 on Springtime.
Yeah, Happy making a few more mistakes than normal. I feel like the time given to the opponent was not the right call. We've seen that plenty of times before. You rather want to go for fights early, around 50-60 supply, when the perfect amount of bears and talents cannot physically be made yet at that point. But also the expansion could have been held, heroes could have been saved. And I think back to the semi-creep jag on the high ground at the red camp, bottom right, where he morphed all the statues into destroyers against what was only 2 bears. I've been yelling at Enter for years for morphing all the statues. And now Happy starts doing it. What's going on?
Yeah, I didn't like that approach either. I think there was only 1 bear at one point at Happy's expansion, and he chose, or the red spot, sorry, and he chose to morph a 3rd destroyer in the air just to try and wipe it out, which I think in the end really hurt him. The amount of healing and mana regeneration those statues provide, especially when microed properly, is incredible. Kaho, you're opening with the Tuskar camp, also simultaneously creeping the small green and being rewarded for 2 rings. Remo, a sight you'll have to get used to seeing.
Yeah, I think this is going to be super good for many frontline heroes, including the Demon Hunter. In the early game, not so much, because the Demon Hunter can just be ignored, and rather you go for the archers and wisps and maybe moonwells and creeps instead of attacking the demon, unless he's super overexposed. But in the late game, the demon has to be attacked, more or less, and there I think these rings can be extremely valuable. Happy, by the way, with a weird creep route. Did you see that? He went to the middle, crept a little green, as in anticipation of the Demon Hunter going there and trying to prevent level 2, but the Demon just went for another green, got the level 2, Happy has to fall back, and, you know, on map 2, the early game creeper by the DK was outstanding, with a very fast level 3. I imagine it's going to be looking a bit different this time around.
Yeah, I think, as you say, Happy was basically anticipating Kaho to come forward there into the middle, but Kaho with a pretty sweet level 2 creep right there. Looking to creep jack Happy here, who is completely out of mana and doesn't have the aura either, crucially unable to really save. That ghoul unfortunately goes down pretty quickly, and still no level 2 available for Happy, not getting his level 2 and being pretty much bullied off of this camp here.
Yeah, the DK forced to stay level 1 for quite some time without the aura always feels bad.
What's that mammoth
I'm
going,
very
Remo?
familiar with, but Happy normally never lets this happen. Happy almost looks a bit shook here. If I didn't know better and didn't know this was Happy, I would say he's feeling the pressure from the Night Elf. Imagine he gets blasted with the mother.
That mammoth, I think, gracefully following Happy all the way into his base, making for an easy surround. Oh, Kaho, the classic, getting surrounded, but should be able to fight out. Oh, nicely done by Happy, keeping the surround closed. A very hard.
The armor.
I mean, he is a tanky boy. In the end, gets what, 1 goo for his troubles.
I feel like got a bit overconfident there. Getting the first ghoul and slowing down the DK, that was all great, but following into the main base just to get 1 more ghoul and lose all that moon juice and lose the TP, that's perhaps where he bit off a bit more than what was appropriate. And with that, we see the experience evening out again. Kaho giving away a little bit of his early game lead.
Yeah, a little bit overzealous in that movement there, perhaps. But now had the opportunity to at least go home, recharge, and come back and take away the shop here, which provides Potion of Invulnerability. Pretty nice item. Not the absolute goated drop of the Greater Healing, but still a nice item nevertheless for the late game. Kaho here securing his level 2 Happy. I think we'll just snag level 3 here. It might be very, very close actually from this Creek camp. We'll wait and see about that. Kaho buying the boots this time, Remo. Will he win this game more decisively as a result?
Thank God. As much as I love to meme about it, boots really do make this team honor so much more threatening, especially against Undead. You know, in Isle of Mirror, for example, boots are kind of a waste because always a static bare front line, so you don't really have to chase much, move much, run around much. But against Undead, you always have to chase. You always have to run behind them, especially if Happy is properly kiting, which we're expecting him to do. So yeah, I appreciate these boots a lot. He's got the invuln, which is great. He's got the staff, which is going to be valuable later. And Happy might be getting caught out in the open here.
Nice job by Happy, though, scouting once again to reconfirm Kaho's position. Doesn't start the quite risky Goblin Merchant camp. Might lose one ghoul here, but honestly wouldn't be the worst result in the world for him. Oh, Coil goes onto the ghoul, nicely done. The Naga not quite able to connect another shot here. Skeleton trying to block as well, very nicely done. I think Happy might actually not even lose this ghoul, and then second skeleton be used perhaps. Oh, I thought he was going to try and block again, but alas, don't think he has to, using the ghoul here to try and save his little friend. And Happy nicely wrapping back round to where Kaho was, anticipating he would start this Creek camp. But Kaho not actually starting that camp yet, so I think both players playing very well around each other right now.
Yeah, look a bit scary there with Happy's ghouls being caught. When you've lost 2 ghouls in the early game already, you really don't want to lose more. Once you start losing 3 or 4, it really hurts you. It really weakens your frenzy timing. Losing 2 ghouls, I suppose, is fine. Did any archers die, by the way? Or is it just playing 3 archers only?
It was a 3 archer play only so far.
Okay, so he wants to have the fast tech and the boots, so he's skipping a bit on the archers. Boots and telestaff, that is. But yeah, very even game so far. I wanted to talk a little bit about the new drops. As people are aware, on the new patch, we have rings being buffed and stuff. We have Ring of the Archmagi. And I think I agree with most of the changes. What I don't like, though, is the gloves camp nowadays only drops 3 items.
Exactly.
I feel like it's a small drop table. So I was thinking about what would be a cool 4th item, a new item, a properly balanced and properly strong/weak item to drop from this camp.
You certainly have to ruminate on that question, as I definitely agree. A 3 item pool is certainly far too small, especially now that the level 3 pool is pretty bloated with items. You have the ring plus 5 in there, and you now have the circlet as well. It's kind of out of control.
A player's forces are under
Wait,
attack.
isn't the Archmagi thing with the zombie mask?
Yeah, but the ring plus 5 is in that pool, no? Or is it the ring of the arc?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, you're right. Your ring plus 5 is with the Periapt. Yeah.
And the circlet is there too now, so...
Wait, the circle is there too?
Circlet is with Periapt, yep.
Are you sure?
Yes, it's a level 3 permanent item now, the circlet.
Oh, I thought you could only buy it nowadays. The
No, it just drops in that camp, but that camp, that level 3 pool is now so bloated with items, you won't see it drop as often.
Okay. That makes the crystal ball giga cringe.
It really does, yeah. Most unfortunately, you see that drop. Alright, the Ogre Magi here, a very crucial creep to get to secure indeed. Happy here, I think, should be able to get it pretty easily. What item will it drop? Remo, Wand of Mana Stealing. One of the items I think you like quite a lot. Not too bad here, draining 60 mana. Nice round number as opposed to 65, isn't it?
Yeah, it used to be very crazy, especially the early game. There we go, Wand of Mana Stealing. You see how nice it is?
Coming in clutch!
Throw in 1 coil. And the Demon Hunter, though, still doing good damage and able to chase and able to put in the DPS thanks to those boots. Look at those boots, baby.
Look at him
But he's
go.
missing the Orb of Venom, so his damage isn't actually that high. And Frost Armor is here to control him as well. But it was a nice timing by Kaho despite having no orb because there was no frenzy yet for a while. Still on Destroyer. Demon commits the Invul Potion.
Bears on the field now. Bears on the field now. Rejuvenation going to the Demon Hunter while invulnerable. Very nice by Kaho indeed. He is just snacking Happy right now. Taking care of all those ghouls. Happy with no 3rd hero or Destroyer fighting, I think, far too prematurely here.
Where's the coil? Could have saved the Fiend.
Whoa, nicely microing the Fiend back, trying to hold on to that coil, I think, for the Lich potentially, who's getting focused now. But Kaho with 50... Now, there he goes. So he saw that Kaho would have 50 mana, decided to throw the coil a little bit early, which is nicely done. But look at all these corpses. You can see all the ghoul corpses here, happy without much of a force left, to be honest. Kaho as well, losing pretty much his entire backline, but the bears remain. I think that's very important indeed.
I think it's a pretty even exchange all around. I don't think anybody was favored here. Where then in the end, I think it comes down a lot to hero levels. What is that telling us? Demon Hunter level 3 still, but close to level 4. The Naga for Kaho also very close. One camp would lead to double level ups, and 2 valuable ones at that for Kaho. And Happy's level is really not that impressive yet, but we have still plenty of creeps on this map.
Yeah, actually, not a lot of camps were taken this game, and we have relatively high hero levels in comparison. There's been a lot of brawling, especially that fight that we just witnessed about a minute ago. Both players now playing passive, trying to re-establish a 50-foot army here, working their way up. With some upgrades perhaps I'd like to see from Kaho, especially not neglecting those upgrades in the Hunter's Hall. Double level up, as you pointed out, 4-3 heroes looking pretty nice for him. Happy. 3-2-1, soon to get 3-3-1 though, which I think is a hair stronger.
Yeah, especially once he gets to like 4-3-2 or 4-3-3, that's when the Undead really comes online. We'd love to see Kaho try to force a fight before that, because this is kind of the strongest he's going to be for a while. 4-3 levels with the Bears, with the Dryads. I think this would be a great timing for Kaho to force a fight before Happy gets to creep more. It looks like Happy is being allowed to indeed creep more. As nighttime will be falling, vision will be decreasing unless Kaho has ultra vision.
Well, it's just about to hit nighttime, as you said, and there is no Wellspring once again. Kaho is a bit short on lumber because he went for the early Ancient of Wind here, getting the Adept training, hoping to rely again on those towns, which won him that last game incredibly hard. But he still has the wood for it, and I'd really like to see him research it this time.
Yeah, towns are interesting in this matchup. They can look extremely strong, but normally it's in the big supply armies where they really take over the late game, because there's so much threat on the ground. Also, the Undead can't just snipe down the towns one by one, which are wet, because then he's taking too much damage from the bears. We'll be losing all the feeds. But in small armies, if you have 3 bears and 3 talons, then I've seen those talons get picked apart way more easily. With which I mean to say that I don't like the towns being added in so early.
I think it's okay to at least build the Ancient of Wind and perhaps the Adept training ready, but I would like to see a more standard Bear Dryad army filling that 50-foot, and as you said, for the later game, higher supply fights, adding in those towns. But it seems Happy kind of running away with the gold advantage here. Kaho pretty broke, only 50 supply, and Happy in the meantime, 60 food already, with a heal scroll until 4-3-3 heroes getting the Endurance Aura from his red camp, an amazing find. Kaho, on the other hand, Claws plus 12, a decent item, but of course doesn't stand up to the power of another aura. And also look at this DK regeneration here, Remo, with double Ring of Regen and level 2 aura.
Oh my god. That's some record level regeneration. He's going to be a great tank once he's out of mana. As you can see, the intentions by Happy shifting. He doesn't want to give the late game time to the talents anymore. He's going to go for a fight earlier. But he didn't have web because he didn't expect the talents so early. So he has having a surprisingly tough time dealing with them without the web. Demon getting focused, but getting staffed out. He had great items protecting him here in terms of tankiness. Now the bears, with all the destroyer damage, falling quickly. Frost Armor's doing a great job. Demon in trouble still, in trouble still in trouble. Where's the staff? Can't have it because it's still on cooldown. The demon just falls. Despite all the armor, that didn't save him. Perhaps the ball is missing again, because I still see Frost Armor active. Without the first hero, this all of a sudden seems to be doomed for our Night Elf. Trying to go for a hero kill on the Lich, but that exposes the Naga as well. She doesn't have a TP. She has even more rings. Got a claws as well. Can Kaho really hold with a single hero? He shouldn't be able to, but perhaps he can. Those right clicks. Those right clicks.
The Naga's going down here, Remo. What's it? Wait, the Lich as well.
The Lich!
Oh my god. He had the mana to cast Forked Lightning, but used the Frost Arrow to secure the Naga kill, which I think was a mistake. Should have Forked Lightning that Lich, which would have also wasted the coil, and could have still perhaps chased down that Naga. But in any case, nice by Kaho to secure himself a kill, but what can he do now? The Naga is just cut off from the base. Demon Hunter is a long way away from coming back into this fight here, and Happy in the meantime can just pick off the stragglers here. As soon as he has mana for a nuke, I think that Naga is going to get blown up.
Well, it's finally finished as well, by the way. That's a big help. Lich gets to level 4. We finally see Abolish against the Frost Armor. Crucially important. And Happy knows as long as the demon is sidelined, he can trade super efficiently, way
Spoiled
better.
over Remo. Oh, potion being used in anticipation of that. Hero's just getting enough mana to cast that combination out. Now, Lich being healed up. Also passing one ring of regen mid-fight to the Lich as well. I like that little detail. Could have perhaps done that with the Naga earlier, who once again failed this game. But Kaho, what can he do? His Demon Hunter is still about 30 seconds from coming back. The Naga doing her best to fend off, and I like that Kaho is trying to poke with the Destroyers here, as he can get a lot of damage on them with those Dryads, but his forces are dwindling.
I'm quite surprised that Happy didn't expand yet. Could have easily managed to, but no, it's just pumping units for now. Trying to get more kills, trying to really put the pain on Kaho. Kaho is definitely not enjoying the last little sequence here. The last 2 or 3 minutes. He's been getting kind of owned. The early talents surprised Happy, but didn't surprise him enough for Kaho to have a chance. Demon is finally back, but guess what? It's daytime. No Moon Juice regen anymore. The troubles continue for our Night Elf.
Alright, Demon Hunter coming back, getting himself a nice Destroyer kill. All the experience going to him, almost level 5 as a result of that. To Kaho, 1 Dryad left and a dream. Oh, here comes a second Dryad, who is pretty hurt. I like the Lich focus here. Happy once again without any defensive items, having to block as best he can. If that Lich goes down, Happy might be in trouble once again, despite the supply deficit. We saw it last game. And Kaho, we could see his attention is on that Lich, but now has to give up and move back home. Lich has got a nimble potion now. Naga back as well, and Kaho taps out.
Whew, that was close though, guys. What a nice back and forth. First on the bottom right-hand side where Kaho smashed that fight, and then that decision to go into talents early. It's one of these units that you kind of need critical mass, almost similar to Wyvern, like a lot of air units actually. And that critical mass just wasn't there prior to the fight, and then Happy, little lucky that the 2 heroes weren't killed by a fork lightning, and then he takes the game from here. But spectacular game 3.
Yeah, definitely a nice contest there. Not as crazy as the last game we saw in Last Refuge, of course, with Kaho unexpectedly taking that win after pretty much a disastrous game. Kaho playing a bit from behind, I would say, this game only slightly, but getting crushed in the end by Happy, as we're so used to seeing.
Yeah, but even with only a handful of units and only one of the 2 heroes, he was able to take a fight, and that was once again Happy's pick. Now comes Kaho's last pick before we go into the neutral map. Our next map is Northern Isles.
Yeah, quite unusual to see this chosen by the Night Elves. Normally in the past, this were always considered fairly weak because the second hero leveling, especially on this map, is not so good. But nowadays with Demon Hunter, with Immolation, maybe it's a different story. If it even is Immolation, there are a couple of decent camps for it on this map, specifically the Murlocs, but not as potent as on some other maps, I would say.
Well, we'll see if you are right, Mr. Remo Demo Man. This is Match Points. Happy's punching for the semifinal where he would meet Starbuck, Fortitude, Soin, or Hitman. Can he go 3-1, or will we get game 5? That's up for grabs. Let's go!
Alrighty, folks. Kaho versus Happy. Game 4 here on Northern Isles. As you said, Remo, not a common choice by elves, often considered to be the undead map, I think people used to say a lot in the past. But now, with the Immolation able to creep up pretty effectively, the question will be, will Kaho be able to creep up his second hero? Because as you said, this map is not the easiest to obtain levels on that hero. And Happy, sticking to 1 base, almost certainly. Would be quite shocked to see an expansion play, but I do think it's quite a good map for that. But I'm not sure he really needs to rely on it.
Yeah, what I love by Undeads here on this map specifically is go for the Fake Out expansion. Creep the natural, put down the Skull, put down the Ziggurat, keep the Night Elf guessing, and just tech up behind. Upgrade the Narrow Tower on the way to Tier 2, and then expand on Tier 2. Yeah, because Tier 2 expansion, as bad as it is against Keeper, against Demon Hunter, it's pretty damn good. Tier 2 expansion with Gargoyles, I still think is very underplayed. And we've seen it at times from some Undeads, but it's a bit tricky. It has perhaps a few weaknesses, and Happy normally loves to rather rush Tier 3 and then rely more so on his micro superiority than on a bit of trickery here and there. So I wouldn't expect the play from Happy, but still feel like it certainly is a strategy that deserves some more attention.
Well, certainly for any of you undeads out there that play ladder, I highly recommend you play the strategy, as it is very strong against Night Elf, and I can assure you they will have a tough time against that tier 2 expansion. But in any case, Happy, I highly doubt he will go for this play. It's a pretty rare one to see. Doesn't even buy the skull here, so that is pretty much a guaranteed no-no. Does go for the Aura first once again, which I do find an interesting pick. Such a shame to see Kaho denied the level 3 creep here. Absolutely crucial. Will not get level 2 from this camp. Needs to continue creeping. Probably more than expected.
Yeah.
Looking to get a detonate here. Maybe getting some experience, but not being allowed to, unfortunately, by that skeleton.
On some maps, these denies hurt more than on others. I feel like in this map, it's a pretty bad one. Because you don't get level 2 from the first 2 greens, and you don't get level 3 from green, green, orange, which you normally would. And I like that you pointed out the detonate right away. It seems like he needs a money detonate on like 2 or 3 skellies to make up for this. But if Happy doesn't allow the opportunity, this is not a wonderful start for Kaho. We see more and more players prioritizing the circlet here again. The demon picks it up. But I don't like the start already for our Night Elf.
No, and now Kaho kind of feels obligated to go cross-map, as there's nothing else he can really creep except for his own Murlocs, which I kind of like this approach actually, trying to steal away this camp from Happy's side, which he can do pretty easily, to be honest, rewarded with the Wand of Illusion, a decent item. And Happy, where is he going to move out to, having secured his own level 2? Is he going to be aggressive in the base? That would be really cool to see, and quite unusual, I think, in today's meta. It's kind of looking like a little bit of pressure here, Remo.
Yeah, good old level 2 aggression. That's what we saw especially at the beginning of the Demon Hunter Immolation days. Don't play passive, don't give him time to get level 3, just run into the base while both heroes are level 2, and try to see how much you can get achieved with these ghouls. Mechanics here, very important. Now it needs to have quick reactions to save as many wisps as archers as possible, ideally not losing anything.
Unfortunately, Kaho losing 2 archers in the middle there, one of which was denied by the Demon Hunter. I like to see Happy actually switching gears up here. It's quite unusual to see him deviate sometimes in a series, especially when he's comfortable and ahead. But in this case, Kaho here taking quite a bit of lumber damage. The ghouls are still in the base, but not really accomplishing too much anymore. Demon Hunter is back here to save the day. Another ghoul trying to take out that wisp in the corner, getting smacked by the Ancient of War, and he will be heading on home. Hunter's Hall coming up now at the right time. Kaho looking kind of a miserable 21 supply right here. Happy comfortable at 29. Both techs, actually Happy slightly ahead in tech this game, which is unusual to see. Usually the elf has a little bit of a lead, and I kind of like he prioritized a quicker tech into harass against Kaho. It's definitely interesting to see this change up.
Yeah, and again, I'm staring at the Demon Hunter. He was having such a tough time chasing after the ghoul kills. He got 1 at long last, but without the boots, they're taking so long to actually get the ghouls. He's gonna get another one in the back of his base, so that's 2 ghoul kills total. But Happy definitely got the better end of the stick here in this exchange. Took out lots of wisps and 2 archers, and also forced them off the lumber, costing more lumber that way. So Kaho's definitely gonna have to remake some wisps here, I believe.
Absolutely, I would expect to see at least 3 or 4 wisps being remade here. There's no chance for Kaho to buy his second hero from the tavern, which of course is a little bit more expensive, costing 135 wood. The double lures and the tier 3 tech all cost lots of lumber. So Kaho here also electing to get Ultra Vision right now, which I think is a fine choice, given that he needs time to build up his wood economy once again. May as well get it and get some value while it's still the middle of the night for him. Trying to get that level 3 now, perhaps using Wand of Illusion to tank the creep. Yep, absolutely. Happy. Is he looking to get that Naga once again? Nope. He's fast taking towards tier 3, going for the Slaughterhouse. Definitely another interesting change. Less aggression, not prioritizing his second hero, and rather prioritizing delaying his opponent's tech while securing a fast tech for himself.
I'm pretty sure he actually wanted to go for the Naga, but he didn't have the 3rd Ziggurat ready, so he was at 27 out of 30. I think he would have loved to pick up the Naga there, but yeah, didn't have the capacity. DK
Oh my
almost
God,
getting stuck in the main. That could have been a kill maybe, but DK gets out, bullet dodged, and despite all the aggression, but despite all the kills from the ghouls and the tech being delayed, Happy finds himself with a experience deficit.
I guess that's kind of something we would anticipate, as Happy did use pretty much all of his forces to try and delay Kaho as much as possible. We see a pretty massive tech lead for Happy right now, more than a full minute ahead of his opponent Kaho, and now has the time to fall back and creep his own level 3. And the Demon Hunter without boots, as you pointed out so many times, taking a long time to cross the map here. He looks awfully slow without those boots. Only just now getting here, and I think Happy even has the chance to still get level 3, despite the Demon Hunter of Kaho being here right now.
Yeah, and here's the thing, if you find low HP ghouls and you don't have boots, you can't chase for the kill if the DK is around for the aura. They're too fast. I know it almost sounds too one-dimensional, you know, just buy boots, buy boots, buy boots. But on the Demon Hunter, I think, in this matchup, it really is mandatory. The Happy has the boots, which are a bit of a waste on him. He doesn't really need them on the Lich. But maybe on the Naga perhaps could be good. Another indicator that he was intending to play a Naga. That perhaps didn't work out too perfectly. But other than that, good game by Happy so far. Did some good damage, found a good number of kills, a couple of items. But still the experience is the problem. Happy needs more creeping, more XP. And there's still plenty of creeps on the map.
Kaho about to get a little bit ahead in terms of creeping tempo, already beginning his next camp with the second hero. Meanwhile, Happy hasn't even started his. The Demon Hunter being very annoying, as we've seen so many times, a classic level 3 Demon Hunter play, but usually accompanied by boots in order to enable this play and burn the undead heroes so that they're as low mana as possible. Statues now only providing 2 mana regeneration per second, of course, have a harder time regenning those undead heroes up to full in preparation for a fight.
DK is going to get his level 3 here at long last. The Naga across the map for Kaho. We just heard level 2, Crystal Ball. Nowadays, hated even more. Would be funny, kind of. Yo, wait. What if the Crystal Ball dropped with the gloves? Not even memeing.
Why gloves? Like, why gloves in particular?
because that drop table only has 3 items.
Oh, I see. So you'd like to put it into the level 2 pool instead?
Yeah.
I mean, perhaps it'll give you access to more information early on, and it does sort of fill out that pool of items that isn't that exceptional anymore. You know, claws only being +4, ring +4 is pretty decent, but not the best.
Yeah, it would be funny because, you know, it used to be a red camp item, then was an orange camp item, and the end it's a green camp item.
Dude, I totally forgot it used to be a red spot item. That is insane thinking about those days. Imagine getting the buffed Django that was like 10% movement speed and then you get Crystal Ball. Oh, so bad.
Dude, Khadgar's Pipe used to be 0.75 mana from this game.
Yeah, that's just absurd.
Nutty. Oh,
Nutty,
Naga, by the
mate.
way. Getting caught, getting surrounded.
Nice
Good thing
surround.
she has that scroll. Proving again the power of raiding. Saving her life.
Has reading ever saved you in your life, Remo?
Has it?
Did you ever have to read something before you went sailing, perhaps?
I read the label on the whiskey bottle. Not sure if that saved me, though.
Well, perhaps it got you through those times.
Saved me from a dull time, so yeah.
Exactly.
That was pretty good.
Kaho here with pretty diminished forces, honestly, overall. 3 bears and a Dryad. Happy here looking quite strong. At 50 foot himself. I would really like to see a tier 3 expansion by Happy, honestly. I felt like he could have planted that a very long time ago. Kept up the creeping game, and if Kaho ever wanted to go across and deal with it, he could just creep up the rest of the map and get ahead in experience. Instead, he's sort of stuck at 50, perhaps breaking supply right now, actually. Probably going to morph a second destroyer, as he loves doing that. Yep, 2 destroyers now, 57 versus 48. I think Kaho is about to get a blue trade here.
There's 3 bears and 1 Dryad. This is a joke.
Ghouls falling fast though as well, but so do the bears, and of course what would you rather lose, the frenzy ghouls or the bears? 2 of them going down immediately, 1 being staffed back home. Happy dropping back down to low upkeep, to no upkeep, which is pretty nice for him actually. Dryad gets away on 14 HP, nicely done. Happy popping that big mana actually, which will not be available for the next fight, which is a win in Kaho's book. He is getting back up towards that 50 supply, and Happy back down again. I'll say it again, I would really have liked to see an expansion right now. Like a minute ago.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe Last Refuge kind of turned him off on the idea. Tried it there and it failed. However, it wasn't really the idea, it was the execution that was the problem there. Happy
the hero
still
mismanagement.
on the move forward.
Happy stepping forth brazenly towards the Night Elf base, seeing an opportunity here. Oh, nicely sniping the bear at the very back there. Nice awareness. Healthstone here being popped on the Demon Hunter, and the big Invul having to blow through all the huge consumables. So let's just target the Naga now. She is pretty much going down really quickly here. Another potion being used very, very fast. But the Fiends, in the meantime, focusing the Dryads, who are disappearing Remo. I think Happy here, asserting dominance, as we've so often seen. And it's closing
Yeah,
out
like
this
how
series here.
Happy was switching up the targeting. In the first fight, didn't touch the heroes at all, but then in the main base, surprises Kaho, going for the heroes. Didn't quite find the kill, but found the victory. Kaho was able to throw a spanner in the works at times, but Happy is again victorious.
As so often he is, and in the semifinal he is 3-1. Good performance, not flawless. I think that can give other players in the top 4 some hope. Kaho unfortunately couldn't repeat his flawless performance versus Labyrinth. Happy was a little bit of a different beast and also very, very different playstyle. Didn't suit Kaho too much. 3-1, the result for once, not going full distance. Emperor reigns supreme.
No surprises here. In the TP League May, Happy was eliminated before the top 3, which is very rare to see. But here's going to be the top 4 at the very least. We have 3 of our 4 semifinalists already. It's Happy, Sock, and Focus. One of each race there. One more Night Elf would complete the perfect distribution, but the Night Elf's struggling a bit here. We won't have another one in the last part of the bracket, which is going to be for tomorrow, between Hitman, Soen, Starbuck, and 40.
Exactly. That is my favorite part of the bracket, to be honest. Hitman versus Soen, after we've seen Soen try to go for Tauren in Mirror recently. Super hype. Also, I know that both players like each other very much. Hitman told to Soen, like, you're my inspiration for playing Orc, not Lin, not Focus. No, he's looking up to Soen. And Starbuck versus Fortitude, dude. I don't even know what race Starbuck is going to play, if he's going to play random, and if Fortitude is in tip-top shape, as we've seen some weeks ago.
Yeah, good question. Honestly, I feel like Soen is a beast in Blade Master Mirror. I think I would give him the slight edge there. And Fortitude, I think he's set up well against a random player. Human normally can always play the same build, more or less, against whatever race they face. It's going to be a bit tricky then with the creep route, but normally humans can adjust. So I think 40 is looking poised. Dare I say, gentlemen, dare I say that 2 humans might get far this tournament?
I
Well,
think that's something we'd all like to see for sure.
I don't know if you're familiar with Slash, Remo. He's a German caster who's very vocal about the strength of the Night Elf race in Warcraft 3.
I like that guy. I like that guy.
And
he's got good takes.
you know, he tweeted out yesterday, human is the new Night Elf. And if Slash says something like that, has to say a lot, right? I mean, this guy also dropping knowledge bombs about Warcraft 3 left and right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I will never stop being amazed with Slash's ability to view everything as OP against Orc. So that's something that he's proven over the years. I think at some point also like Dreadlord first is going to be OP against Orc one of these days. Yeah, the Night Elves here, after enjoying their basking in the sun for quite some time in the last couple of tournaments here, it's a bit of a rough one. Our main race Night Elves are all out. Maybe Starbuck can be the one to surprise, although Elf in the past used to be his weakest race. I would expect most likely from him to play either human or Orc, would be my assumption. But yeah, tomorrow it's going to be 3 more best of 5 series in the 1v1 to bring us towards the semifinals, and of course also the 2v2s continuing.
And the 2-on-2s are absolute bangers. We got Lawlight and Sock versus Kraft and Starbuck, plus Monk joins us again tomorrow. I would set my alarms for tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central European Summertime.
Yep, the 2v2s have been exciting, of course, up to this point, but I think we've all been really anticipating this match here between Starbuck and Krav versus Lawlight and Sock. It's just, on paper, it sounds like a fantastic match, and they're, of course, probably the two best teams there. feels like a little bit like a grand final treat in the semifinals.
A little bit, but in the real grand final, Shao Kai and 15 Sway are waiting for us. And of course, tomorrow evening, we also got the FFA grand final with Neutron, with Bobby OG, with Leluami, and with Godfather. So tomorrow, hopefully, is going to be a long day. I want to crack the 10 hours. Make it 12. I don't give a damn. I just want a long, nice day of Warcraft 3. And because of that, I will not stop here. In 80 minutes, more or less, I'll be back online with the Back to Warcraft Weekly. Remo, Quberte, are you signing up this week?
Remo,
why? Yeah.
I don't think Remo even
I
plays
got stuff
Warcraft.
to do, bro. I got stuff to do. I'm sorry.
Like what?
I'm visiting someone.
Who?
What time?
Who?
Do you think you know that person, Neon? Do
Tell
you
us.
think you happen to know that person?
Yes.
No, you do not. And that is for
Describe
the
the
better.
person. Oh, no.
They are lovely and kind and wonderful. All the things you would like to be.
God damn, shots fired.
So, Quberte, are you ready for a dual cast tomorrow?
Hell yeah, my man.
This first dual cast after like 2 weeks. I'm already sick of this guy again. Man, should have got lost on the boat. And
Should have capsized.
yeah. Now, guys, once again, thank you very much for joining me. We are here to present you the W3Champions finals. You can chip in to reward the players for their amazing games over at W3Cfinals.backtowarcraft.com. We're currently standing at 2,700, which is more or less half than what we had last time. So tomorrow and the day after, hopefully you guys can step it up a notch and boost the prize pool for the 42 players we have across 3 tournaments. You can buy profile pictures for Orc, Night Elf, Undead, and Human. And of course, chip in as well to the sponsored quests on the right-hand side. $500 roundabout coming from one of the sponsors, Bull Moose. But you can do better, everybody. I want to see the big numbers on the upper right. And now I lean back and let Mr. Remo Demo advertise the server that we're playing on, the W3Champions server. Tell us everything about it, Remo.
W3Champions is amazing. It's the best server that anybody could hope for, whether it be Warcraft 3 or anything else. We have the best matchmaking, we have the best leagues, we have the best games, the best map pool, the best service, and the best connections across the world. We even have custom-made inventory management, hotkeys, and all that. It is truly wonderful with so many features, all the ones anybody could ever wish for. And it is truly kind and compassionate, just as Neo would wish to be.
Jesus Christ. Delete Remo Demo. We got a great community there, as Remo said, for 1-on-1, 2-on-2, FFA, 4-on-4, Legion TD as well. You can even play the Reign of Chaos game mode if you're that old school. You can also watch the games on Flow TV. We have 28 different servers across the world, so the conditions are perfect for all of you. And if you want to help to get maintain this server or improve the server, please feel free to join the Discord at the homepage. There's a link to that. Reach out to like Sefit, for example, or Ape or Toxie. We are looking for people for the moderation team, for language report and replay reviews. That is very, very important because on our server, unlike many other servers, actual real people are moderating this. And the team definitely needs your support. So if you have some time on your hands and want to swing the ban hammer, reach out. And if you are able to code yourself, then JavaScript, C#, .NET, jQuery, Rust, TypeScript, and Node programmers are always helpful for the project. I have no idea what you can do with all these types of languages, but the people of W3Champions know. So join the Discord, reach out to Sefit and the other people. And with that, I say goodbye. If you have any final words, Quberte, you can close the broadcast now.
Well, thank you for everyone to tuning in today. Remo, nice to have you back. And
No.
Nice to do it. Well, I'm saying that it's nice to have you back, Remo. Neo perhaps may
Everyone
disagree.
enjoyed it. I know.
Everyone did. Well, no, it was cool to do a duo cast. It was pretty chill. Yeah. Unfortunately, once again lost a match, but Kaho versus Happy was pretty sweet indeed. We have so many amazing matches in store for you guys tomorrow, including the 2v2, which you should definitely show up to watch. We're in for a banger, guys. Don't go anywhere, and we'll see you next time.
And see you in 80 minutes. Bye-bye.